This is Politricking
On record, Tshidi.
with Tshidi Madia on EWN.
Hello, welcome to Politricking with myself, Tshidi Madia. We are on episode 3 of season 6, I think, yes, of a politics podcast brought to you by Eyewitness News. So the buzz conversation, the buzzwords, if you think about it right now, is definitely the word budget. Definitely the phrase GNU, right? And if you're paying enough attention, we're still speaking about Rwanda, depending on who you're listening to. So we kind of want to put together all of those things in a single conversation. You are, for me, and it's something that people often talk to me about when they speak about the GNU, they speak about the importance of having had somebody like you in the GNU, somebody who's seen as an elder, who can be an anchoring figure, who can help give guidance. Your sense of the GNU thus far, I mean, it's been with us since what? July 2024. We spent a weekend hearing, hey, it's falling apart, hey, it's not falling apart. What is your sense of this coalition?
The GNU is here to stay. Anyone who doesn't want a GNU right now must campaign to call for general election. But general elections are also expensive. So the timing of that might not work at all. So this GNU is here to stay. Those who don't want to be part of it, I'm sure they are free to leave. And then those who are remaining behind, they can engage other political parties. There are many political parties in parliament.
What do you make of the constant threats to leave? I mean, when we listen to GNU partners, a lot of the time we hear a red line, this is a red line, we won't go past that point. The constant threats of leaving does exist, and we hear it from at least the DA and the GNU. When you hear that and you see that in the media playing it itself out in the media space, what comes to mind?
Since May, June last year, there was no outright winner. As a result, we were compelled to form a coalition or a GNU. So the GNU, therefore, the coalition by its nature will always be having these tensions because we come from different ideologies. So no one has ever thought that it would be a smooth sailing from day one. So I'm not surprised that sometimes there are parties who will want to do a certain posture if they are not happy. But at the end of the day, the decisions are taken after thorough consultation and showing each other that the people of South Africa want services.
You've been in a coalition before, in a GNU before. This is your second go at it. You were in a GNU under the ANC at the time. It didn't last, but it also wasn't a necessity at the time. It was the ANC extending an olive branch to other parties. The differences for you between then and now, and whether or not you think that there are lessons that this GNU in this iteration should be paying attention to and should have learned from how the last one fell apart.
No, you can't compare these two GNUs, as you correctly put it. The ANC had the numbers. So, but de Klerk and his followers felt that they have played their role and they were released and the life continued. The sky didn't fall. Even this one. If DA were to leave tomorrow, as you sort of indicated, the life will continue. The sky will not fall, and we'll find other partners who will make sure that the programs which were started in July last year continues until the next 4 years.
I don't say it's as I've indicated. It's what we're hearing.
Whatever.
In the media. Don't put it on me. You've in the past worked with the DA before. You've been in coalitions with the DA at local government level.
Yes.
You've complained about how the DA behaves in coalitions, takes on this big brother posture, undermines the other parties and their input. We again are seeing this back and forth. How do you rate how the DA is behaving in this current GNU? Again, they're the ones who come out publicly who are unhappy about the way the GNU is functioning.
I don't get this noise when we are in the cabinet meetings or cabinet committee meetings. I see DA contributing, ministers, deputy ministers, they contribute because they are running running departments. But sometimes you hear a noise right outside, like someone was talking yesterday, saying if the AP seat is not done, we're out of this. And then I said, no, but Steenhuisen, the leader we're working with, is not speaking this language when we meet. So I'm not going to worry myself about outsiders.
How are you finding the ANC? Is the ANC behaving in the way that the DA used to behave? Because the DA's assertion, are you
No,
laughing? The
no,
DA's
no, no.
assertion is that the ANC doesn't consult, that the ANC is a bully, that the ANC is behaving like it thinks it's not a 40% party.
Well, that's their politics. But so far, the ANC tables the agenda. We table our own agendas, and they are discussed. And I've never seen this posture once more inside the cabinet discussions. Because, as you know, you can't just go to a cabinet room and start putting an agenda item. There's a process. So far, I have not detected that ANC is bullying the DA or is bullying others, is not consulting. Before a matter is tabled in the cabinet, it is tabled in front of the cabinet committee, like security, social related matters. There are subcommittees, and then they are taken to the cabinet. Is that not consultation?
So you are saying the ANC is able to power share,
Yeah.
simply put. I'll leave it at that. There's a view, though, that the small parties in the GNU often get overlooked or forgotten, you know, what you're hearing. And that's the posture, again, where the DA says, actually, we are in a grand coalition with the ANC and don't care about anybody else. But often the voices of the smaller parties in the GNU, one feels get overlooked. Like even now with the budget. People aren't checking to see if UDM is happy or not happy. But I'd imagine in a coalition where numbers matter so much, that your voice, even with your 2 seats, matters.
The voices of all political parties were heard. If they can share the minutes, we were told that there's going to be an increase of about 2%. And then I was among the people who said, if you want to see Toi Toi tomorrow, agree to a 2%, go back and re-look at how you can come up with a reasonable tax system or tax bracket or a budget. So we are given an opportunity to speak there. We've got forums. So the perception might be, those who says that DA and ANC are the ones who talk now and again. I won't say they are wrong, because even president and the leadership of the ANC will say, we are meeting the DA, we have met the DA, we are talking to the DA. They can go and dance as long as we stick to the timetable, follow the budget processes, and then at the end of the day, those who don't want to participate, they mustn't make noise, they can leave.
I love how simple it is in your head. Like, if you don't want to participate, just go away.
Yeah.
The I want to go back again, all the way back to when this coalition was being put into place and a statement of intent was being signed. There was a time crunch. You had about 14 days to find each other. One would argue that there's a missed opportunity to go back to the drawing table and have a formal coalition agreement. One would have said that there was a missed opportunity to actually sit on the table and even figure out how issues where there's difference of opinions should be properly ventilated. You don't think that, in hindsight, that was mishandled, that period of coming together and backing the ANC and allowing them to elect a president?
Normally, a party with more seats in an arrangement we have is always given the first choice to negotiate with other parties. But that doesn't mean that other parties cannot meet and form a majority without the ruling party to make sure that ANC becomes opposition. But that didn't happen. So people felt that it's fine, let's hear what ANC is offering in terms of the policies. So a statement of intent was drafted and agreed upon, and we also agreed that the policy we are going to follow will be as a result of looking at the manifestos of other parties. So all the forum of the DGs look at all those manifestos of different parties. Hence, we came back and say, these are the priorities, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was as a result of the discussion. So I think we did well compared to other countries. In other countries, you take 3 months or 6 months before a government is formed.
And then you have a clearinghouse that was established somewhere along the path, based again on the differences.
Yes.
My personal argument is the clearinghouse is ineffective. I think that's the best way to describe it. I haven't seen what your clearinghouse has produced. I often argue that...
Well, the clearinghouse is the one which intervened on the NHI. You still remember?
Does it feel like it succeeded? I mean, the
No.
NHI...
They wanted to change the NHI. Parliament approved the NHI, you remember?
In the last administration, absolutely, yes. Along with expropriation.
They attended to those matters. And if you feel that they didn't do work, that forum said to us, we are not a parliament. GNU is not a parliament.
It's not.
So we have no power whatsoever to change the decision of parliament. So didn't they advise us correctly?
Is that the clearinghouse being effective, General?
It's effective because
I'll stick with that. Let's hold on to that. But the very same NHI is still up for the discussion, supposedly, where you have, again, a GNU partner, the DA, now negotiating over the budget with the NHI being a factor.
No, they are just...
that means that the issue hasn't been put to bed.
No. But it depends what you stand for. The rules are rules. The NHI, Bella were approved by Parliament.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They advised us that we cannot change that, and we accepted that. So if DA is not satisfied with that, they are free. They can go to Concord. That's the route. But for them to say we cannot approve budget until you have withdrawn Bella Act and this and that, they are out of order. They must be told.
Now that you brought us to budget, let's speak about that. Expropriation, NHI, the issue of the World Bank, devolution of rail. These are some of the demands that the DA has put forward. Your sense of what they're asking for. There is a school of thought that what they're asking for is fair. Then there's a school of thought that says actually it's out of order, as you just said.
On those new demands they are putting, we could not pass the budget. You remember, or allow at the beginning, because of one item, that was VAT.
Yes.
Now, if there are other demands which are there, it might be wise for us to interrogate those and look at them collectively, because it's not a government of ANC and DA only, this one. We would like them to table us, to all of us, but we don't have time. That's the problem. We have to approve the budget, but in terms of looking at the financial year of 25-26 financial year, preparing budget for 26-27 financial year, those points they are tabling or they are demanding, we can look at them. But you cannot hold the process at ransom because of the new demands. I don't think it's correct. Why there is an increase of VAT at the latest recommendation. But that what list they are demanding is not going to work. We don't have time. But we're not saying throw it away. We have another 9 months. All what we should be saying this time to Minister of Finance is to tell him that the honeymoon is over. You are no longer going to draw a budget alone with your few clerks in your office. I'm sure he woke up after we said no at the beginning.
What do you want to see happening this week as far as the budget is concerned? What kind of tinkering amendments would you like to see?
Well, I think the people who have been negotiating for the budget, because many parties have said they are not going to approve the budget. And I believe that the ANC has been engaging other political parties. So let's wait until we hear what they are saying. But the UDM is saying that come May or come April, May, we have to make sure that the proposed tax systems are effected, because if it's not approved, it means all those tax systems which were proposed to balance the budget will not be effective. And then how are we going to pay service for services? Because the government has to function.
We also can't take the reputational knock.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
You know? Let's speak a little bit now about the Eastern DRC. So our troops are due to come back home. I imagine there's some relief at that development.
Yes, the SADC leaders, as well as those of the Eastern Africa community, have agreed that we must withdraw. And the SADC countries as well had endorsed that. So it's a process now of coming back home. As you have heard that, among other things, we have to fix the Goma airport so that
Yes.
the planes can, especially those which will be carrying, bringing back the troops as well as equipment, must be able to land there. So it's a process, and I think the soldiers of South Africa have become diplomats there to welcome and engage the M23 forces.
What is your sense of... Are you shaking your head before I even ask a question?
No.
Okay. What is your sense of what went wrong? Because I still, for some strange reason, don't feel I have clarity over what went wrong. What led to our soldiers dying there? Why is it that you hear about a lack of supplies, a lack of resources, not well armed or equipped, the lack of food? In your understanding, because you have I expect you to have intimate knowledge of what went wrong, and maybe you can help us understand better as to what went wrong.
If you have been following the history of the SANDF, our predecessors, that is cabinet members, they have been calling for funding of the defense force. President himself has said we have been defunding the defense force. We have to move from 0.057%, 57% of the GDP to 1.7% of the GDP. And I hope that system will start as we move along. But the operations in DRC, especially SADC operations, it looks as though that although the mandate was for our troops to go and enforce discipline in that part of the world, in terms of the equipment, we were not ready. That one has been in the open. because some of our equipment were not on. Okay. And what I think happened there was we were disappointed by the forces of DRC, because you heard that they surrendered, and then they were in front there, and then all of a sudden the SADC forces were targeted. So which means if you are not covering your flank, which was given to you, remember on the left it was forces of DRC, and then on the right it was forces of Burundi, and all of a sudden we heard that they just surrendered. Then the arc of fire then targeted us. But I think we managed to repel those forces, notwithstanding that we had fatalities. Of course, the United Nations is only the authorized and institution which can confirm how many casualties were on the other side.
Would you be surprised if there were calls from South Africa for an inquiry of sorts? Would you be surprised if South Africans felt that they don't know enough of what led to our troops dying, that the information seems to be lacking?
The parliament has already, a lot of members of parliament have been calling for the inquiry. Normally, after an incident of that nature, the defense itself must conduct a board of inquiry so that you don't fall into the same trap in future if we are asked to go and maintain peace anywhere or fight. So we are still yet to get a report from the commanders when these troops are withdrawn. I'm sure the president and the minister and the commander of the defense force might say, in light of what Parliament is saying or the people of South Africa are demanding, they will decide as to at what level this inquiry, will it be a judicial commission of inquiry, will it be a board of inquiry under the Defense Act. So we're still waiting for that.
What do you think is ideal?
The ideal one is the board of inquiry first. But such a board of inquiry, you must give it a teeth so that you can subpoena certain people, whether at National Treasury or whoever. Why did you not give defense the money, whereas the president and parliament said we are deploying these troops in DRC and the mandate is for them to enforce peace in that part of the world. If the Department of Defense had written a letter to National Treasury asking for the budget to be allocated for that special operation, if someone didn't do that, he or she has to account. But that inquiry would have to have broad powers.
So one of the things that happened, I think South Africa had a lot of mishaps in the handling of the back and forth with Paul Kagame of Rwanda. I think that the statement from presidency wasn't the right tone. I think the minister's phrasing wasn't the right one. And I think I understood why Kagame that is, felt agitated. I got it. But what I also struggled with is I watched you and the minister at a media briefing, and I couldn't understand why do you not speak from the same page? You are a military man. Everybody says it. And you were there with the minister, and you both did not inspire confidence because you were not speaking the same language. You're not telling us the same story. Almost in the moment where you say to us, the concern around the troops that are in Goma is historically what went wrong. And the minister says, no, but I was there with them. Things are fine. And this is happening at the same time.
So that's history. So what do you want us to say in future?
I want to know whether you found each other.
No.
The country deserves to see a leadership that is in sync. That's not what we saw.
No. That was, at least what you must understand is that that operation was handled by three people. As the president, the commander of the defense force, and the minister. So therefore, you cannot take undermine the word from the minister, because he had more information. He even said in front of the cameras that I'm still yet to brief my colleagues. So we accepted that. The last word was for Minister Angie Motshekga, and there wasn't yeah, you can say no, but I'm giving you the answer.
I take your answer, but I don't accept
okay.
it. You and I both know. I would never, if you are talking to me and somebody randomly updates me now on what I should know as well as somebody who also represents the department, I'll be like, what's going on?
Yeah, no,
was it not embarrassing?
Not for me, because I didn't contradict her. No, that was your interpretation.
You
Next
didn't
question.
contradict the minister,
No.
so it wasn't embarrassing for you.
No.
Should it not have been embarrassing for the government?
No, not at all. Not on what we said. You can play that tape again.
I'll play it again. It's really clumsy.
And then you. Okay.
It was clumsy.
Okay.
We're 14 soldiers down, and then the leadership is blundering and blumbering its way through what's happened. There are families that are in mourning. A country is asking questions. You're not on the same page. That is embarrassing. That should be embarrassing.
Okay. Mandi, let me concede then. If that will make you happy.
It's not about my happiness. It's about leadership that understands when it's gone wrong and where it needs to do better.
No, we're working. Since then, I think we have been briefing the country well. And we must also commend the call made by President Cyril Ramaphosa to President of Rwanda, Kagame, suggesting a ceasefire, wherein he requested him to use his influence. And that ceasefire is still holding up until today.
So that's positive.
Yeah.
I saw in the Sunday Times, I'm sure you must have seen it, the issue around the U.S. cutting the defense ties with South Africa. Your reaction to that?
Well, the USA, as you know, has stopped the projects which are funded by USA for people from other countries. South Africa had one member of the SANDF who was doing a course there. So as a result of that policy, we were affected. But we have since asked the U.S. Embassy that that fellow must continue and finish his course by August. But we are ready to pay for the remaining months. So we're still waiting for them. Other than that, there's no other thing which has affected the defense. Right now, we are busy preparing for an joint exercise, which they normally have yearly, which will be in August in Bloemfontein. So until you get a diplomatic note, not through the social media, a diplomatic note which says no more military cooperation between these two countries. But so far, those agreements which were signed many years ago are still in place. So it's still early to press panic buttons.
You do realize that half of the announcements that they've made on social media, there are no notes. They're not coming to G20 meetings. We are told via social media. In fact, their mission, from my understanding, seldom knows.
No, they use social media these days.
Hey, so you can't say that you're waiting for a note verbal. They'll just announce it on social media. So they are expected to come and train in August, as you said. And then as far as the programs are concerned, it's one South African.
It's one South African has been affected.
And then the August program from where you stand is set to continue.
And then the U.S. Embassy said they would escalate this request of ours for this member to continue. They will escalate it to Washington.
Your general sense, though, of what's going on between South Africa and the U.S., it's a big talking point, back and forth, different political parties. Again, GNU members are fighting about foreign policy. Your sense of that tension?
Unfortunately, we seem not to have other countries not to have endorsed or listened to the Mandela philosophy that whenever there are differences, the best way is to sit around the table and find each other. Fortunately, I did serve in the Al Gom-Beki Binational Commission when I was part of the GNU under Madiba. That forum worked very well, and if there were tensions, they would be tabled in, if there were concerns, those concerns would be ventilated in that binational commission. I think the best for the US and South Africa would be to sit around the table and listen to why USA is doing this, how can we handle this, what should we do? There's no other way. US is important to us, South Africa is important to US. This is our second trading partner. So somehow these leaders must swallow their pride and start the ball rolling and sit around the table and address their concerns, but not at the expense of the South Africa's interest, neither at the expense of the U.S. Interest.
That's an interesting point that they have to find one another because there's so many different schools of thought about what is the right thing to do.
Yes.
At the same time, you've got an AfriForum, what I think is now dangerous lobby group spreading disinformation. Yes, there is no genocide in this country, and I don't think that they say there's genocide, but they're making all manner of claims around farm killings. Their claims are problematic and are false by and large. The damage that they do, not only internationally, because we don't even believe that the Americans believe what they're saying, but the danger to the social cohesion project that you're all a part of from the very beginning.
No, definitely. I think this propaganda by them, it can raise or salvage old wounds, because these are the people, some of them, who were in the military, who were part of harassing black people of South Africa, and who were part of the administration of the past. And Madiba chose reconciliation and the cessation of hostilities. And that approach led to what we have today. But if now they are going to go and lobby other countries, but lying, that's bad. And under the apartheid, if you were to do that, you wouldn't even go to your house when you land at the airport. You would be detained. But they must still say thank you that South Africans allow them to go and lobby. There's nothing wrong with lobbying, but please, they must speak the truth.
What needs to happen? The ANC wants to meet and talk to AfriForum. I don't know if there's a point in meeting with people who are engaged in propaganda, engaged in disinformation. I feel like it's a waste of your time. The ANC doesn't seem to think so.
We do have a precedence. Remember when the Afrikaners were in charge of this country, we were lobbying for them to be removed from power. But at the end of the day, the Afrikaners went to Lusaka to talk with the ANC. So he said it's a cycle. So let's talk.
So talking is the best way you've got to talk to AfriForum.
Yeah. Engage.
So those of us who are offended and those of us who are calling it treasonous and saying that they should be charged, that's the wrong take?
I wouldn't say so, but I think there's no harm in president or the ministers, relevant ministers, to engage AfriForum and say, guys, what happened? Did you have to go that far? And so on. Look now the repercussions of what you have done. Because when when you listen to other people who were involved in the negotiations on both sides, they're saying, but why? Because we have a constitution which is favoring everybody, and nobody has been killed yet, or rather, Nobody has taken somebody's property by force. Where is this coming from?
Now, I want to speak to you about the UDM.
Yes.
So, it's been, 28 years this year, ne?
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time. Very recently, I think I saw an article where you were dismissing talk of stepping down, talks of stepping down. But there is a legitimate question, actually, to ask you. When
Yeah.
are you actually planning to step down?
This question is not coming for the first time.
No, we ask you that all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And so that must say something to you.
So the members of the party are listening. They are the ones who must decide to say, Jengele, thank you very much. You have done well. You have been occupying the crease and you have hit 6s and 4s. But it's time now to go. I have not yet got that signal from within. So as the time goes on, but if you look at my style of doing things, you would say it's ceremonial that I'm the head of UDM currently, because Kwankwa is running the party and is doing excellent job.
Oh, that's wonderful, yeah?
Yes, so one day I will say, hey man, my knee is not right. I'm feeling
Something in
pain.
my back and
Yeah, my back.
this or that. Yeah.
I think you young men, you young fellows now, you can run with the ball.
So you still have the appetite, ultimately.
Oh yes, and I said I appetite anyana. Mdala, man.
And then there was a time where I remember going to a UDM conference in Bloemfontein.
Yes.
And part of the messaging at the time was a need to bring in young people to rejuvenate
That's what we have
the organization. Councillor Litchfield was meant to be, she was elected your deputy at that conference.
Yes.
She didn't last very long.
No.
I want to know about that rejuvenation project. You know, we know about you. You know about Nkwankwa. We know. I think there's a young secretary as well. We don't know enough names of faces that represent UDM.
Others are involved in local government. You see, these graduates, I make them as councillors, those who cannot manage to be in parliament. So I think they are doing very well in certain areas. Gauteng, Eastern Cape. So I'm happy with that. But I think what we need to do is seriously invest on marketing, because we have not had a budget or channel our budget to marketing. That's what is needed. That's all, because we've got good programs. Our policies are good.
And that's what every political leader has to say.
Yeah, no,
about their party.
I've read it, comments after our manifesto, everything.
And they're all
they
reports.
say, talking about independent analysts, not me.
The views outside of you.
You see, for instance, we have been saying, we were the ones who have been calling for a national dialogue to look into the journey we've traveled from 1994 up to now and identify any inherent defects, if there are any, and try and fix them. Look now, after so many years, we have been campaigning for that. This year, Holomisa was correct.
Yet we are still to have a national dialogue,
Yes, but it's
and
coming.
that's part of the problem. You are a 2% party, if I'm correct.
No,
What are you?
0 something.
I was even making you bigger than what you are.
Not even 1%.
You have 2 seats. You have 2
No,
seats.
I've got
How?
4 seats.
In Parliament.
Yes.
4?
3 in Parliament and 1 at NCOP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with that? Are you comfortable being that party at that level with 4 representatives in Parliament?
I wish I can have more, but if God has not yet anointed us to have bigger numbers, so we accept what we got.
There's a view that people think that you just want to be in the room, that you're just satisfied being just in Parliament, just at the table, just in the GNU. Is that unfair to you?
Yeah, that's their opinion. That's not my opinion.
Is it unfair? That's my question.
No.
I didn't ask you.
No,
Is it fair?
that's an opinion. Bottom line is, it's an opinion. That's their opinion.
Fair point.
Now I'm doing my work. That's all.
That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much done. My last question, General, is about the Progressive Caucus. Do you remember we went to the Taj Hotel the one night, and you
and the Progress Caucus was formed in that evening. You remember?
Yes, that you abandoned a few days after the fact, and they were angry. Do you?
But yeah. I'm happy that you are raising that question, because these fellows didn't consult us when they were having meetings with the ANC. But when the talks fell apart, they also began to collect small parties. No, we're not children. We have long been betting in politics. Now, there are chances that they might be back in the journey if you read newspapers.
I don't read newspapers. I speak to politicians.
Whatever.
I do one better, yeah?
But do you agree with me?
Yeah, there are conversations.
They are not against GNU.
They're begging to be the GNU.
And
the GNU doesn't want them.
And they have not been against the GNU. Remember when we decided at that Taj Hotel that they will contest
to be deputy speaker,
speaker, president. They endorsed the concept.
Yes, they did.
So,
the question that I actually wanted to ask you, though, it isn't about what went wrong then.
Yes.
It is about when you watch the so-called Progressive Caucus in Parliament. I can't even call them that. When you watch their performance, I always say we have a problem in Parliament where the opposition is really weak. I mean, you look at Umkhonto Sizwe party. I think they're scrambling to figure themselves out. They've got their own issues. I think the EFF is trying, but the EFF has a problem where its popular MPs have resigned, have left the party. So it's almost building brands anew, if you may. You would actually say, but it only has 6 seats. So there's a thing about those on the opposition benches needing to maybe do better. I don't know if I'm wrong in that reading, but when you look at that Progressive Caucus, do you recognize that if maybe I was there, I could guide them better, I could shape this better? Do you recognize what they lost in losing UDM, in losing you?
no, they have not lost us. They still consult with Kwangwa and so on. So I'm not. I can't judge how they perform. But that you guys, you have a right to analyze us.
As we do.
As you are doing right now.
As I am right now, exactly.
Sometimes you become ungovernable. I said, hey, that's that journalist. She's ungovernable. But I like your spirit. You push them. You push.
General, I like my spirit.
You push us.
Thank you. I'm going to leave it at that. That's General Bantu Holomisa, Deputy Defense Minister, UDM leader, and overall, I think chill guy, ne? Or chill guy.
She's starting once more again.
General, thank you for your
time. Thank you very much, man. Thanks.
This is Politricking
On record, Tshidi.
with Tshidi Madia on EWN.